Welcome to Easily Entertained, a show dedicated to appreciating all the best parts of entertainment. My name's Bryson Olson, and I'm a filmmaker and a lover of all forms of storytelling. Here I will bring you along as we critique and analyze stories with a more positive take on why we enjoy them, and bring a new appreciation to the world of entertainment. Welcome back to Easily Entertained. I'm your host, Bryson Olson, here to give you all the latest on entertainment. Today, we are going to be talking about the Kung Fu Panda series. However, we are not going to be talking about Kung Fu Panda 4. One, as I have not seen it yet, and two, because I've heard it's not really that great. So we're just going to be talking about the main trilogy prior to Kung Fu Panda 4. So if you're here for Kung Fu Panda 4, I'm sorry, you're going to be disappointed. But that's okay. We're going to be talking about the best ones anyway. What I like about Kung Fu Panda is they kind of tackle a lot of self-acceptance in the form of your mind, body, and soul. Granted, that's not really the order that the movies take it, as they kind of focus the first one on the body, the second one on the mind, and the third on the soul. But I think there's kind of a mix of everything in each movie, and typically when you talk about all those things, you are usually going to say mind, body, soul. And in terms of the movies, mind, aka the second one, I think is the best. It's personally my favorite. And so that's the order that I'm going to be talking about them in. So yeah, let's get started with mind. A lot of self-acceptance comes from your mind. It's about tackling your own self-doubts, your own insecurities, and overcoming them, and not focusing too much, not developing too much brain power into them. And in the second Kung Fu Panda, they focus on that a lot, as it's kind of like the one to focus on the mind. And yes, I know I'm going out of order. If you didn't just hear me, you weren't paying attention. In the second Kung Fu Panda, they focus very much on the mind, as Po, he lost his parents. He was separated from them, and it was all due to this peacock, Shen, who kind of eliminated all the pandas, and that leaves a scar on his mind. And he doesn't really remember it until he meets up with Shen and all these things, and so that kind of brings all these traumatic memories back. But that does a whole lot to someone subconsciously. It affects their mind and how they process things. And they say this actually in the third movie, but before the Battle of the Fist becomes the Battle of the Mind, you have to be able to focus on something, especially in this series where they rely a lot on spirituality and their ability to protect and serve other people. A lot of that, although it is a very physical type of thing, they have to also think about a lot. You can't just rush into a fight without thinking about anything. You have to use your mind to really determine how you're going to do things. You have to plan, be strategic, and the second movie does this very well by using a villain that is not really the strongest. In fact, in terms of Kung Fu, he can't really beat anybody, but he is incredibly smart and is a master of manipulation. He is really good at intimidating through his intelligence. It is because he's a ruler. He knows how to rule. He knows how to get in the little crevices of someone's mind and destroy them. And I find that the mind tends to be the most interesting kind of battle, in my personal opinion. Is just that it's less about what you can do physically and more about how you can think your way out of things. I'm very much a puzzle guy, and so that's kind of what I like to think of as mind battles. It's like piecing together a puzzle, and you have to find each correct piece where exactly it fits, and that's exactly what Po has to go through in the second movie. He has to remember his childhood. Where does it fit in his story? Does it make him who he is, or is it just one part of his story, and he chooses to be a whole and not just focus on a single piece? And that is a very good way to depict the mind battle, and they show the mind battle in the other villains as well throughout the series. Tai Lung, for example, he is very good at the physical stuff. He is an incredibly strong and talented kung fu master, and he has the soul as well. He's very passionate about kung fu, and he he feels and almost knows that he should be the dragon warrior. However, that kind of overtakes his mind. His mind develops an ego. He has always been raised to train, and so that warps his mind a little bit into focusing more on the physical aspects rather than thinking about who he is as a person. And you have Kai, who is a master strategist. He was a warlord for China. It is not just that he's super physically powerful and super spiritually powerful, but he's also very good at the mind. And that's like why they talk about it in the third one, is because like he has a really good dramatic entrance. He strikes fear into those. That's a very big battle of the mind. And so it's kind of seen throughout the series that you have to get past your physical limitations and use your mind to do so. And that's why I think mind is so important in the Kung Fu Panda series, and why I think we should have talked about that one first. Next comes the body, the physical aspects. And in the first movie, we are introduced to that very much from the get-go. Because Po is a panda. He's kind of chubby, he's soft, he's not the most hardcore warrior like Tai Lung or Tigress is. And so it's kind of like a physical limitation on himself. And paired with the mind, he thinks more about, because I'm not what your typical hero looks like, I can't do all these amazing things. But that is what he has to overcome. It's about self-acceptance and accepting what you look like and not letting that limit your abilities. Just because I think we, in the modern age, we try to push a lot of self-acceptance, but more just you as you are is great. And I do think that is the case. I think that's like a wonderful statement, is that you shouldn't have to change yourself for anybody, but knowing yourself and how you can improve despite what you look like is a good message. Like, if you're heavier set, who cares? It is not about if you look heavier set. It is more about pushing yourself to be better and to like overcome your own limits and just like exceed your own expectations. Because it's like people who go to the gym. You can be super healthy and maybe not look the quote unquote healthiest, like you're maybe a bigger person, but you can lift like crazy. You eat really healthy, but you're just naturally more of a bigger person. That's great because you're working to improve yourself. And that is what I think the first movie is particularly about, is improving what is there. And that the physical limitations don't have to be the end-all, be-all. Po is very passionate about wanting to learn Kung Fu. He doesn't know how to do it because he's a bigger guy and no one really knows how to train him. But eventually they adapt. They learn that it's okay, accept yourself, be you, while also trying to improve yourself. And so he's still a panda. He's still this nice, big, lovable guy, but he learns how to overcome that. He learns how to do the flips and fight and not let what other people think get to him based on his body. And that's a big thing when he comes to facing Tai Lung, because Tai Lung is a very, very massively built villain. He's very physically powerful and he's very skilled in the ways of Kung Fu. And Po is able to overcome that because Tai Lung has accepted in himself that he knows how to do things, but so has Po. Po has accepted that he's creative and can find ways around his own physical limitations and doesn't let that get the best of him. And that's like what the whole dragon warrior idea is meant to be. That's why it's like a blank scroll, and they even say it in the movie, it's just you. There's no secret ingredient. It's just who you are and how you can work to be your best self. And I love that aspect of the Kung Fu Panda series, because although it's super prevalent in that first one as well, it's just very prevalent in the series as a whole, is that let's focus on who you are as a person, not just let's try and make you somebody else. No, let's take your best attributes, make them better. Take your weaknesses and build them into strengths. It is not about setting limitations to yourself. And that I find just awesome. And, that kind of extends to the soul as well. Because the soul is a very interesting topic. Because, you can debate all day if there's a soul or not. I don't even want to put a stance on it just because, there can be so many takes on it. But the soul is kind of like your representation of the heart, of your passion. And the third movie focuses on it a lot because they focus on chi. They say the energy that flows through all living things. But it can also be taken to represent the soul, the heart, the passion. The villain of Kung Fu Panda 3 was kind of betrayed, or feels betrayed, by his old friend Oogway. And that is a very huge betrayal of the soul. And as a result, you want to take more than you want to give. Because it takes a lot of energy to give your soul. And not even just like in like the physical sense, like how they make in the movie, where you can give chi, which like can be kind of taken as a representation of giving help, of giving a piece of yourself to someone. And remember, that's like a metaphor, not like physically ripping out a piece of yourself, but rather having a part of your heart, a part of your passion, and using that to help someone else be better, to improve themselves, to make them feel good. And when you feel like you've given something and that has been disregarded, taken away, it makes you just want to take more. So they feel like they have to protect their passion. And in Kung Fu Panda 3, that's what Kai feels like, is that he has to protect his own soul by taking others. Whereas Po and Tigress and the other pandas, they all have a community. They all give to each other. It is not one person. It's not individuals who are running things just by themselves. It's a community coming together to serve each other. They're giving rather than taking. And when you give, your soul, your heart feels good. You feel stronger within yourself when you're able to give rather than take. That's why when Kai takes so much and he's eventually taking everything, when Po kind of overwhelms him, giving him the full like dragon warrior chi, it destroys him because taking is too much, whereas giving is a lot more powerful. And so you get this wonderful coalition throughout the movies of how well and how destructive the mind can be, how powerful and also how destructive the body can be, and once again, how powerful and destructive the soul can be. And it's these aspects that all combine and support each other in each movie, and not just mainly, like they mainly focus on one in each film, but combining all of them throughout each film allows Kung Fu Panda to be such a successful franchise while also leaving you easily entertained. So thank you for listening as we talk today about the Kung Fu Panda series. I know it seems almost like a shorter episode today, but that's okay. But yeah, I love the Kung Fu Panda series. I will still probably see Kung Fu Panda 4, but we'll see if I actually end up reviewing it. I just recently watched the main trilogy, so I wanted to just review that and, just have a fun discussion about it. And, speaking of discussion, we'll have our question of the week, but just kidding. you got to wait a second for that one. Because first we have our rating. If you're unfamiliar, geez, I keep stumbling over my words today. If you're unfamiliar with the easily entertained rating scale, because, we're entertained by pretty much everything, we don't just have a 1 through 10. Instead, we have just symbolism for movies. So from least to best, it is garbage, once is fine, the right mood, quotable, go-to, and then all day, every day. And I would put the Kung Fu Panda trilogy probably at a go-to. The third movie, Kung Fu Panda 3, is a bit more lackluster than some of the others. It's still a pretty good movie, but it's not the number one that I would watch all the time. I would probably put Kung Fu Panda 2 as an all day, every day, and maybe even the first one as well. But 3, I would probably put just solo as a go-to or quotable. So for the whole franchise, since we're going to kind of group them together, we'll put Kung Fu Panda as a go-to. And then, like I said, to get you involved in the discussion, we have a question of the week. This just lets you respond either in the comments here on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, wherever. It lets you join in on the discussion for this week to talk about entertainment. And so for this one, it is which Kung Fu Panda is your favorite? We have already covered mine. It is Kung Fu Panda 2 because I love the battle of the mind and just cunning villains that don't really have to rely on strength all that much. I just think is a great time. So yeah, answer either on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you want. Just join in on the discussion on which Kung Fu Panda movie is your favorite. And with that, we will see you in the next episode. Be sure to join our Instagram, follow us on YouTube or Spotify so you can get notified of all the latest episodes. And we'll see you next time. Bye. You have been entertained.